Now, the 20 share index started the week on a high. That's interesting in itself, being a Tuesday. We've just come back from the Easter holidays. What's your assessment of the market's performance today?
Usually when we come from a weekend on Mondays, the market is usually slightly depressed. The reason I would give for the abnormal behavior is that the market has been expected to do well, especially following the recent approval of the draft constitution in the parliament that has reduced the political risk in the country. And so foreigners and other investors alike are hoping to cash in on the low risk, and hence the increased index, which closed at 40.61 today, up 1 point from last week.
EAGGADS has been one of the quickest gainers this quarter, but the 60% dip in pre-tax profit announced earlier has caused a dip in its share price, down to 69 shillings per share. And worse still, the company has announced that there will be no dividends. Following that report, what's your take on EAGGADS, and what's in it for investors going forward?
It's a bit surprising, really, because EAGGADS was like the other agricultural stocks, the tea and coffee exporting stocks, was expected to do well. They did not. However, this may be attributed to the 2-year drought season we had last year. So we think we are optimistic. EAGGADS will do better come the end year 2010.
Other market news today, the NSE is to launch an SME counter by the end of 2010. Now, that particular model has been tried and tested in markets such as India, and we've got a very fast-growing SME sector within the East African region, and it definitely offers an alternative to private equity, venture capital, which is the trend that we've been seeing in this region. But what are the chances that SMEs would actually queue up and take on the capital markets?
I think here the future looks really bright for them. It would be really nice if they have the structures in place. We all know that there's the capital base required for any counter to be listed in the NSE or the alternative market segment. So if the stock exchange can actually come up with a blueprint for having these SMEs absorbed into the BAUs, it will be well.
Other market news out, tough times for the motor vehicle industry. Toyota has talked of a 34% drop in unit sales recorded in Q1. And of course, this prompts some of the dealers to revise their profit targets for 2010 downwards. How does this news impact dealers who are listed, such as General Motors?
We have General Motors, and we have Car in general, and we also have CMC Holdings as being the automobile companies on the BAUs. I think, still back to what I said earlier, the future looks bright, and we are optimistic. And the fact that these figures have dropped from last year is attributed to the increased inflation, and also the Gini coefficient. I'm sure you saw the study by Sinovate, a research group, saying that the gap between the high income end and low income end has really increased, and the majority of Kenyans are on the low income end. This means their purchasing power is indeed less. That's why we have seen a less demand for such commodities as motor vehicles. But nevertheless, I think we have a bright future given the economy. Come the budget in June, I think Kenya has something good to offer.
Now, you're pretty optimistic, and another good news that came out this week is that finally there's a consensus on the Constitution. On a macroeconomic level, a consensus definitely means a safer political environment. How do you think investors are taking this, particularly foreign investors, keeping in mind that the government is about to float a sovereign bond?
The sovereign bond is indeed a brilliant idea, because it means the government doesn't need to borrow from the domestic market. And I think it's a good way going forward, and I believe all eyes are on the future, and I think we should keep up with that. Yeah.